Hello folks, let's discuss graphic design. When I look at design exams like NID and NIFT, very specifically, questions related to graphical topics are very commonly discussed. Creating posters, logo, stamp design, book cover, brochures, questions of this sort. How do we attempt such questions? While attempting these sort of contents, it is very important that aspirants keep an eye on certain attributes. For example, how to use the right color, how to create an interesting composition, and the usage of right typography. And moreover, you should have a wonderful creative concept. How to design a postal stamp. This is Vibhu from THiNC Institute of Design. So let's move into a graphic design question which was asked in the previous NID examination. The question is related to stamp design. So we can get questions related to graphic design in terms of designing logos, designing stamp, designing t-shirt, designing book covers, designing posters. Basically the philosophy remains the same when you're going to design any graphical contents. You have to look into the how you're going to compose it, how are you going to use the proper color to maintain the correct mood for the illustration, how to provide the right typography, right? So these are some of the important attributes. I will comment upon these, what are the important things that have to be kept in mind. So we'll start with the question and I will go dictating the question first and then we'll move to the process. So the question goes like this. To commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, the Government of India has invited ideas to design a circular postage stamp, ₹20, from young minds. Depict your idea for the stamp in the given format. You need to use color. So when you go through the question, there are certain key points that have to be kept in mind. First of all, it is 150th birth anniversary. So you have to definitely incorporate that in the stamp. 150th birth anniversary. It's our Mahatma Gandhi. Then it is definitely an Indian postage stamp. So you have to incorporate India in it. And one interesting thing is it's a circular stamp. Like other conventional rectangular or square format, it's a circular stamp. And when the term circular is highlighted, there is something important about it which we have to keep in mind. And the denomination of the stamp is ₹20. Okay, that is also important, right? And the last and not the least, color. These are some of the important attributes. Now look at this. When you are going to design graphical topics, say it is a poster. Maybe the poster is related to an advertisement. So you have to have the wow factor, okay? And there should be something thought-provoking or something creative in it. Maybe you are designing a book cover. So when you are designing a book cover, the main aspects that have to be kept in mind is the book name, the author's name and the publisher. Similarly, when it is a stamp, there are mandatorily certain elements that have to be kept in mind. For example, when you are designing a stamp, do anyone know what are the key aspects that has to be kept in mind? Yes, you are very correct. First one is the country of origin, which is definitely India. First you have to incorporate the country of origin. Second one is the denomination of the stamp. What is the worth of the stamp? Is it 20 rupees? Is it 10 rupees? Or is it 15? Whatever it is, you have to incorporate the denomination of the stamp. The last one, the most important part of this is what is the content that you are going to put inside the stamp? Content. So you have to have some written related to the illustration. You have to write some content. For example, if it is related to birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, you have to write something about Mahatma Gandhi. For example, father of the nation, or maybe you can write about Dandi Satyagraha. So something of that sort should be incorporated, which is the content. So these are the key attributes that you cannot avoid when you are designing a postal stamp, right? And one interesting thing is here the stamp is circular, and the word circular is highlighted because you can't just draw in a random illustration and incorporate it in the circular format. You have to think, you have to use graphical contents which goes along with the circular design of the stamp, right? That's one key attributes. I have seen a lot of aspirants while trying out this question, they completely forgot the aspect that the circular part is not been considered. So it's not just about designing something inside the circular space, you have to use the circular space. For example, the text can be organized in a circular way. There can be some graphical elements which go with the circular design. These are the key attributes that has to be kept in mind while designing. So let's start with going about designing a postal stamp which is circular for the 150th birth anniversary of our father of nation. So usually the very common aspect that I've seen with design aspirants, the people who are preparing for the exam, is they directly jump onto the answer sheet, drawing the final outcome. This is something which is not very correct. Instead, you all should do something called as an ideation. It's a very crucial part. First thing is, try some idea. What are the possible contents? What are the creative things, creative way you can express the postal stamp? Think about it, give it a thought. Then go finally drawing or illustrating the idea in your postal in the given space. Don't instantly jump onto the final deliverable. So we'll start with some quick rough ideations. So maybe for this question you are given 20 minutes or say 15 minutes. It is completely fine if you use say 3 to 6 or 7 minutes just to do some rough casual ideas. Right? You can't spend the entire time for ideation. Do some quick ideations, maybe quick doodles to see what are the possibilities and then come to the final conclusion. So here I am going to spend a couple of minutes or maybe a minute or two to see what are the possible directions that I go with. Right? So let me start. So it's Mahatma Gandhi. So obviously you can think about some, we can do some brainstorming. When we talk about Mahatma Gandhi, what are the key attributes which comes to us? First one is father of nation. Next one is his physical attributes. How Mahatma Gandhi looks, the spectacles, the physical other external attributes, the minimal clothes he wears, the stick. So there are certain attributes, the charka. All these are some elements which comes to us. So write about all those: charka, the spectacles, Dandi March, our Indian independence. Write down some of the key ideologies which comes to us when we think about Mahatma Gandhi. Put them first. Then give it a look. How can I combine these elements to create an interesting poster? So let me try, maybe if I am going to think about spectacles, how I can use. Maybe I'll just try drawing a huge spectacles in an interesting way within the circular space. Yeah, this could be one direction. And maybe writing the text in the circular pattern. Maybe I can use some circular element from the spectacles itself to design a graphical content. Make sure it does not become comical at the end of the day, right? The text can be written somewhere here. I'm just trying out some possibilities. This can be one direction. Okay. Now let me think about one other possibility, which can be maybe the usual silhouette of Mahatma Gandhi. Again the circular element. I can write the country of origin over here, maybe India in this, along this direction. Remember, this is an ideation. You need not be very clean and neat. It's a very rough sketch just to understand what you're finally going to deliver. So you can probably write India there. You can write the denomination maybe 25 rupees. I feel it is 20 rupees. Yeah, 20 rupees. You can write 20. And then you can probably write about the content which is about Mahatma Gandhi. You can write father of the nation. Okay, or maybe you can incorporate 150th birth anniversary of father of nation, something like that. So this becomes a basic idea. Now remember, we should avoid cliche ideas. These are things which everyone is going to come up with. Like if you look at all the students who are going to deliver outcome, we can expect these sort of illustrations which are very going to be very common. So maybe make sure your illustration stand out from the entire rest of the group, right? So come up with an idea which is very innovative, which is not very commonly seen around. For example, let me show another direction, possible thought. I have another circle. I probably draw the silhouette of Mahatma Gandhi's head. And within that there are certain gradations of color which gradually comes onto the top. where I show the development of our country which happened after a very random idea. I'm just trying to see if it can be interesting. So I write here the denomination 20 rupees, and I write about 150th birth anniversary. Then I write India over here. And if I'd like to write something, I would probably put it over here. So that's another direction, another possible thought. And maybe I'll give it another shot or different thought. Maybe Charka, which is very much connected with Mahatma Gandhi. That can be an interesting direction which we can think about. So just be very quick with your ideas, because this is just a rough thought, and then I'll go around it. Something like this, another thought, and here you can write probably India in this. The way the contour enlarges, I can write India getting bigger. I can write 20 rupees denomination similar way, and probably I can write about 150th birth anniversary, father of the nation. You can write that. So that becomes a poster. And again, it also depends how interestingly have you putting the color inside. So remember, the poster has to be more or less balanced. You need to visually balance the illustration, not that it's heavy on one side. So I have incorporated the text here, and the weight on this side is slightly left heavy, so I have to balance it off by using a larger 150th. Right? I'll use a 150th which is larger to make it visually balanced. Right? Similarly, if I add something here, I have to add some text over here to make it visually balanced. So these are some one direction, and let me show you one more possibility. So you need not do a lot. Once you feel your idea is interesting enough, you can proceed with that. I'll just try one more. I'll take Dandi March as one direction. So I'm just thinking about that, what I can illustrate. So I show Gandhi walking towards and I can write 150th birth anniversary Mahatma Gandhi. Here I can write India, and finally 20 rupee denomination. So this is a very well balanced. This looks like an interesting direction which I can probably take up. So here I have shown a silhouette of Gandhi, who is probably holding a stick and walking towards a space like that, and this can be a very good direction. So let's take up this as the final direction. I'll pick this as the final direction, and I'll go into developing it out. So since this is a demo, I've given a bit more importance to doing the ideations, but usually if in the exam, if you are trying to do ideation, it needs to be pretty quick, and you need to spend time on identifying. Since this is a demo and I want you all to understand what I'm trying to illustrate, that's why I went giving a bit more clarity in the sketches. But in reality, it's just a very rough, casual, dirty sketch which is only intended for you, and you did not make someone understand what it is. So these entire things, this ideation process can be done in a rough sheet which probably will be given to you, and you can attach towards the end of the answer sheet. And the final deliverable, which is this, you have to incorporate in the given space. So let's try drawing the final outcome. So this is the given space. I will just enlarge in the stamp. Now one important aspect while doing the stamp is, especially stamp. Remember, stamp is going to be pretty small. In reality, an actual stamp would be hardly of this size, or maybe a bit more bigger. That depends. Might be max to max this size if it's a 20 rupee stamp. So this is a common mistake which a lot of people do. Remember, when you do elements, when you add details, make sure when it is scaled down to a smaller size, your contents are still readable. So it means when you're enlarging and when you're drawing it enlarged, you have to add the elements decently big, or else what happens when you're going to make it small, things won't be readable. So you should not affect the readability of the stamp. So here we go. I'm going to design the stamp now. This is the given space. I'm going to draw the roughly how the direction is going to be. I'll draw the horizon there roughly. Right. Like that. The salt piles. It's a rough silhouette of Gandhiji. Then you can see how the text can be arranged. Draw some rough contour lines to align text. So it's 150th anniversary, or you can write even anniversary here or wherever you want. So I'll put the anniversary part here. And another very important thing which a lot of people don't give importance to is typography. See, there are basically three types of typeface, typography, typographical way you can write text. You can use very casual font. Okay, you can use a very formal font, or you can use a very graphical font. A formal content, for example, if the event is related to something very serious, or a formal content, for example, a defense expo, you can use a very formal typography or letter. Rather, the event is something which is very casual, which is very, the color palette is casual, you can use casual color typefaces, right? For example, when you are using, when you are creating a party poster, an advertisement poster, you can definitely go for casual contents. Graphical is usually a type of casual typography, where you can use illustrations on the text itself. For example, if it is a horror movie and the way the font is going to be used can depict the horrific attributes, maybe a bloodshed can be shown on the text, right? So you use the typeface casual, formal or graphical based on the intent and make the poster pop up, so that even the evaluator understands, okay, the person understands the importance of graphic design. So I'll make the text pop out a bit more. I'm going for a slightly casual yet formal font, not very formal and neither very casual, because it's talking about 150th anniversary of Father of the Nation. So you can't be very casual, it needs to be a bit formal. 150th, and I can write birth. You can centerline the text. I don't think we need to show Mahatma Gandhi, it's by default understood. Then you can come down and you can write about the stamp origin and the denomination. So it's India. And the denomination is 20. Look at the way the text is written. 20. Right, I think I could have written India a bit more onto this side. Right, India. So there you have basically done with your stamp. I feel it's slightly, this India could have gone a bit more up because it's slightly come down to maintain the balance, but it is okay. You could have kept it slightly towards the top, but this is basically the stamp. I'll just detail it out. And there you go. This is basically the stamp. You need not draw a lot of details. I feel the birth anniversary can be slightly bigger. Keep an eye on the text. I'm not giving a lot of importance to font for the time being. Similarly, the India could have gone a bit up. I give a small highlight here for the salt deck. This is basically the stamp. I'm not going to draw the external serrations which is there on the stamp, which is already given in the question, so I did not spend drawing this. I assume it is by default there around the stamp, so I'm not going to do that. Now this is basically the composition. So it is very minimal in terms of there are not a lot of details, but yet something which is very interestingly created. Some innovative thought is gone into it, right? Properly balanced, not symmetric, balanced, proper use of text size. So even if it gets smaller, even if the stamp gets reduced by 1/4, the contents will be still readable, right? All these attributes has to be 150th birth anniversary, circular. I have used elements. Look at these circular elements. They are actually complementing the circular shape of the stamp, right? Why have I arranged the text in a way? I could have linearly organized, right? These are only intentional attributes, right? Now if you want, you can add more details, but my recommendation would be to keep it simple, not too much complex, right? Next phase is to do some coloring. I'll keep basically the Gandhi shape black. I just want the silhouette of Mahatma Gandhi. So I'll retain that black. What is the color palette that actually can impart a decent interest in the picture? That's also very crucial. So here I feel give very good contrast in the black, because it is something which has to create a visual focus. So it's very dark black over there, right? Now I'll keep India and 20 also black. As I told you, I recommend you guys to practice some typefaces which are formal, which are some casual fonts, because at times it will be useful for you to keep an eye on what type of text I should be using. If at all you have to create a casual font, what is the right color that I should be using, right? Or the right type of design that I should be using, right? Now the 150th I can probably give it a golden color. I don't have one, so I'll just give a color which is very close to that. If you have gold, that would be wonderful. to give a very rich and luxury feel, you can use gold as the color. I don't have one. Instead, I am giving it a slight bright yellowish orange color over here. Now keep an eye on what is the type of color palette that you're going to use. My recommendation would be to use either of the three color schemes. One is complementary, analogous, or triadic. I feel you have understanding about what the color schemes are. Complementary will create a very good contrast. Analogous will make the poster look very visually pleasing, and triadic can also be create a very good contrast in the context. Contrast is a very important attribute. I will try maintaining a color palette somewhere around blue and orange, which would create a decent contrast. So I will work with blue here. I will start with a deep blue at the core, and then I will gradually come down. So I will start with a very rich deep blue in the center. And I will gradually reduce the thickness of the blue. Rather than, see, the difference between a graphical content and a painting is that usually in painting there is a very smooth transition from one color to another. While creating a stamp, make sure it is vectorized. You can specifically pick certain colors. So if I am giving a particular saturation to this, maintain that color throughout in that area. If I am reducing the saturation, I am increasing the tint, I am making another tint of it, make it the entire sector be that color. Don't gradually or create a gradation using color, right? It will be better. These are dunes of salt, and so I use some tinted light blue here. Right. Now I will go to a warmer palette. Like I actually wanted orange, but I'll rather use yellow instead, because make sure when you use color, smudging does not happen when you go very close to the yellow, because being a very light color, the color can get smudged. So this is the process that is expected when you are attempting a graphic design content, and usually students, which I feel is, they directly skip on, or they skip the ideation phase and they directly move on to the deliverable, which won't be the right option. You will be even evaluated for your ideation process. So they understand you are creative, you come up with a lot of interesting thought and then finally concluded onto one answer. This would be the best, or this would be the this would be the way you can be better appreciated by the evaluator. So my recommendation would be always to have a quick ideation. Make sure you don't spend a lot of time on this, because I had spent a quick maybe a couple of minutes, because I was giving enough details so that you can even understand what the ideation that I was trying. But once you are in the exam hall, when you are attempting the exam, let your ideations be very quick and fast. Maybe a quick idea can take hardly 30 seconds, a very rough sketch. For example, this idea could have been represented like this. This is what the ideation is. I know exactly what I am trying to incorporate in it. How much time am I taking? Fine. So this is just to make you understand what the process was, and then to come to the final deliverable. Yeah. So with this, we have attempted this question, how to create a graphical poster stamp for celebrating 150th birth anniversary of father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi.
We have short-term courses, long-term courses. Short-term courses include crash batches and foundation batch, and long-term courses include regular batches, repeater batches, and long-term weekend batches. For more details regarding our courses, visit our website www.thinkdis.com. The link will be provided in the description box below. Let's design your career. Let's design it together with THiNC Institute of Design. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and also click the bell icon. Bye. Stay tuned for more updates.